A criminal can wear gloves, he can wipe down surfaces, he can plan for hours, even days, to leave no trace behind. And yet, forensic science operates on one unshakable belief. It is impossible to commit a crime without leaving something behind. A fiber, a hair, a fingerprint, a microscopic trace of soil. This single idea has convicted murderers, exonerated the innocent, and built the entire foundation of modern criminal investigation. It's called Locard's principle of exchange, and today we're going to understand exactly how it works and why it remains one of the most powerful concepts in forensic science. Edmond Locard was a French criminologist working in the early 20th century, often referred to as the Sherlock Holmes of France. He established one of the first forensic laboratories in the world in Lyon, France, in 1910. Locard was deeply influenced by earlier developments in forensic identification, and he formalized an idea that would go on to define the field. When two objects come into contact, there is always a transfer of material between them. This became known as Locard's exchange principle, and it remains a cornerstone of forensic theory even today, over a century later. The principle itself can be summarized in one sentence. Every contact leaves a trace. When a perpetrator enters a crime scene, interacts with a victim, touches a surface, or moves through an environment, an exchange occurs. Material from the perpetrator transfers to the scene or victim, and material from the scene or victim transfers back to the perpetrator. This exchange can take many forms. It might be visible, like blood or saliva, or it might be microscopic, like fibers, hair, pollen, or skin cells. The key insight is that this transfer is bidirectional. The perpetrator doesn't just leave evidence behind, they also take evidence away with them, often without realizing it. This is what makes the principle so powerful in investigation. It gives forensic scientists two directions to search for evidence, not just one. Trace evidence under Locard's principle generally falls into several categories. First, biological trace evidence: blood, saliva, hair, skin cells, and other bodily materials that can often be linked to a specific individual through DNA analysis. Second, physical trace evidence: fibers from clothing or carpets, glass fragments, paint chips, and soil particles. These may not identify a specific person, but they can link a suspect to a specific location or object. Third, impression evidence: fingerprints, footwear impressions, tool marks, and tire tracks, which record physical contact in a way that can be matched to a specific source. Fourth, trace chemical evidence: gunshot residue, accelerants and arson cases, and other chemical signatures left behind during criminal activity. Each of these categories represents a different form of the same underlying phenomenon. Contact creates transfer, and transfer creates evidence. In practice, Locard's principle shapes how crime scenes are approached from the very first moment investigators arrive. Crime scene investigators work under the assumption that evidence exists. It's a matter of finding it. This drives systematic search patterns, careful documentation, and the use of specialized tools like alternate light sources, fingerprint powders, and adhesive lifters designed to capture trace materials that would otherwise go unnoticed. This principle also justifies the practice of examining a suspect's clothing, vehicle, and personal items, because if contact occurred, material should have transferred both ways. This is why investigators don't just process the crime scene, they also process the suspect, searching for reciprocal traces that confirm the connection between the two. This principle has played a role in countless real investigations throughout forensic history, particularly in cases involving trace fiber matching, soil comparison, and microscopic hair analysis that connected suspects to specific locations or victims. In many well-documented cases, seemingly insignificant trace evidence, a single fiber, a paint chip, a trace of soil unique to a specific location, has been the deciding piece of evidence that linked a suspect to a crime scene when no other evidence was available. This is the practical power of Locard's principle. It tells investigators that even in the absence of obvious evidence, something is almost always there, waiting to be found with the right tools and the right attention to detail. Despite its foundational importance, Locard's principle is not without limitations. The mere presence of trace evidence does not prove guilt on its own. It proves contact, and contact can have innocent explanations. Trace evidence must always be interpreted within the full context of an investigation, not treated as automatic proof. Additionally, modern forensic science faces challenges the principle didn't originally account for: cross-contamination during evidence collection, the persistence and degradation of trace materials over time, and the increasing sophistication of criminals who deliberately try to minimize transfer, such as by wearing full protective clothing. This is why modern forensic protocols emphasize strict chain of custody, contamination control, and corroborating evidence. Locard's principle tells us evidence exists, but proper methodology is what makes that evidence reliable in court. Over 100 years after Locard first articulated this idea, it remains the theoretical foundation for nearly every forensic discipline, from DNA analysis to digital forensics, where the same logic applies. Every digital interaction leaves a trace, just like every physical interaction does. For forensic professionals, this principle is both a guide and a responsibility, a reminder that thorough, careful investigation can reveal truth even when it seems hidden. If this video helped clarify this foundational concept, subscribe to Forensic Expert Alliance of Bangladesh for more forensic science education, and let us know in the comments which forensic topic you'd like us to cover next.